So I'm continuing the previous talk, and the previous talk was about um, how difficult it is to explain the previous video. You have to watch for 15 minutes, and you want me to tell you what the last video was on. But we're going to talk about distortions, which comes from the law of one. What is law of one? It's an extraterrestrial religion. Is it good? Sometimes it's obtuse. In other words, I look at a quote from Law of One and I go, it's non sequitur. It doesn't make sense in English. Nevertheless, I plod on because I keep seeing people from David Wilcock, the commentator on extraterrestrials, to people on my Facebook feed who talk about Law of One. And as I said in my last talk, if you're my age, you got gray in your beard, you probably never heard of Law of One. It's a pretty new religion. It was channeled by someone, maybe more than one person from the extraterrestrials. Channeling means that you are, someone is using telepathy. They're sending information to you via telepathy, and it goes directly out your mouth when you're talking, like I do, or you hear the words and then you can just transcribe it, either with a pen and pencil or right into your typewriter or something as you're typing. Channeled work. Course in Miracles was a 1975 channeled work. Course in Miracles was supposed to be channeled from Jesus himself, and a lot of people find that's a good book. Even Dr. Hawkins of Consciousness Research, Dr. David R. Hawkins, gave the workbook of Course in Miracles a pretty high number. It was 500 or 600, which is way higher than you listening, pretty much. Doesn't mean that you're not a good person, but it doesn't even mean like in, public school, some kid was a C kid and somebody else got A's on their test. No, that's not what it means. It means what field of consciousness you are attuned to. Is it better to be attuned to a higher field? Yes. Yes, it is. The only problem is if you get too high in your field attunement, let's say above 540. 540 is a great number, unconditional love. But if you go higher than that, then your ability to live in the world apparently is flummoxed, according to Dr. Hawkins. Why? It's just because you're not really here. You might become multidimensional. You might become a lot of buzzwords I don't know. But he said that people, like even the Pope, had to be a certain level of consciousness to do the job of Pope, but anything higher, and he couldn't do the job of Pope because you're too disconnected from the other humans who are at lower calibrated levels of consciousness. Just so you know, where are we? Depends on what country you're in. Dr. Hawkins had a map, it might have been in Truth versus Falsehood, where he had a map of all the calibrated levels of consciousness for each country. And, Western countries tended to have higher calibration consciousnesses. But it doesn't mean that you do. That was just, the country as a whole, the people as a whole. Oh, it's very complicated. You have to read Dr. Hawkins to really understand it, especially because I only got 15 minutes, and I haven't even talked about distortions in the Law of One. But the best way that I'm going to put it is you are hearing words from me. And I am talking based upon I'm connected to a field of consciousness. And If I'm going to give you pure truth, I got to do that. I got to go to silence because that's the purest I can be for you, is me zipping it. If I zip it and I just sit here, I'm not lying to you, am I? So, the minute I start talking to you using verbiage in English, we have the problems of I might use some words that I learned wrong. In other words, I use a word because I've always used this word, but everyone else listens to me and they go, he's using that word and he always uses it this way, but it's an incorrect use of the word. Or you don't know the word that I'm saying, and either you guess or you look on the dictionary, and the dictionary has 4 different definitions for this word, and you picked the wrong one because I meant the first one, and you picked the third definition in the dictionary. So this is known in teaching parlance. I don't know if it's always teaching, but generally speaking, noise. It's like if you have you're using something like a phone or a messenger app, and you don't have a really good signal. You have a lot of wind noise or just crackling on the line. It's just not crystal clear. That's called noise. So if we've got noise, it means I'm saying something and you're hearing it and it's distorted. Oh, there's a source of distortion, just noise. And there's distortions because if a extraterrestrial is using telepathy to send me something, they might speak Klingon, and I speak English as my first language. And what they do, or what consciousness does, is it takes the Klingon concept and words and it hits my English. I don't know any Klingon, so it's got to find the appropriate words in my mind, things that I know, a huge dictionary of words, and it's got to pull it all together so that I can talk about it in English. And that's a translation from Klingon. Am I going to give you in English the exact meaning that the Klingon means? The best way to tell would be for me to send it back to the Klingon via telepathy and have the reverse process go so that the Klingon can listen to it in Klingon after I've translated it from Klingon to English and English back to him in Klingon to see if what he sent me in the beginning is what I sent him back, more or less, that he received back in Klingon. And then he's going to say, well, it's 75% accurate to what I was meaning, and it's 25% incorrect. So this is a distortion, and that's basically what distortions are. And if you want to know more about Law of One, don't ask me, because it is, as I say, I find it difficult. Doesn't mean it's not interesting. It is interesting, but it's difficult. The English is, someone says, stilted. In other words, it's not good English. And I think there's truths in this Law of One. I really do. And I go looking for them. And sometimes I can read it and it's like, oh, yeah, this is good. Or other times I look at it and I don't understand this. And, I'll make a comment. I don't understand it. And then there'll be 5 other people that will try to explain it to me. And I may or may not get something that I can use. So that's the way it is, not just when we're talking about these kind of religious doctrines or, translations from foreign languages. This happens, if you're an English speaker and someone stutters like me, you've got noise and you've got distortions. So the best thing you can do is try your best to be clear as possible and simple. Keep it simple, stupid. When you're talking to other people, unless they're all PhDs and they don't want simple, they want complexities. Anyways, that's your talk about distortions, and I don't have anything to talk about.